The LA Lakers unfortunately lose in the first round to the Phoenix Suns, and that's behind Devin Booker's incredible performance of 47 points. So as a Laker fan, I got to hear your thoughts. What do you think this means for your team going forward?
There's going to be some question marks with the entirety of the roster outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think those are pretty much the two mainstays as far as what it's going to be like going into next year. But I mean, all in all, in game 6, just the Lakers got smashed. They got smashed in the first quarter. I think they only scored 14 points. Devin Booker scored 22 in the first quarter. I mean,
not much you can do there.
I mean, they were down by 29 points at one point in the second quarter. They just were completely outmatched. Just the Suns were the better team from beginning to end of game 6. And I do appreciate the fact that the Lakers made a pretty decent comeback in the second half. At one point, they were able to get it down to 10 points in the fourth quarter. But then Chris Paul comes back with about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. After a Wesley Matthews missed 3, the Suns go on a 7-0 run. The lead goes back up to 17. And at that point, the Lakers have just completely checked out. But you got to give credit to the Suns. The Suns played an outstanding series. Really, ever since AD went out in game 4, the Suns just went on a tear. And not only just offensively, but defensively, they played outstanding. I mean, when you're holding the Lakers to point totals that are in the teens for the quarters that they're playing in, that's outstanding. Granted, the Lakers weren't making shots, even though they had some decent looks, but a lot of that, it was because of the defensive pressure that the Suns were putting on the Lakers. So I got to give credit to Monty Williams for his coaching performance in this series against the defending champions in the Lakers. As far as what I think this is going to have an impact for the offseason, look, the Lakers got to rest up. A lot of these guys were dinged up, especially LeBron and AD. AD couldn't even make it through the game because that groin issue was just too much to overcome. He only played 5.5 minutes in the first quarter, and then he tried to make one contest. I think Devin Booker was trying to make a layup, and he ended up, I think Book missed a shot, but Anthony Davis just couldn't continue. That groin was just, it looked like he was in some serious pain and just he could not continue. And with LeBron, same thing. I think that ankle issue was a significant one, maybe one that necessarily I didn't think would be that big of an issue, but it looked like he was having a difficult time really trying to get some explosion. Just his bursts were not there, and he took so many 3-point shots in this series. It's unlike him to do that simply because a lot of the damage that he can create is from driving to the basket, and he didn't do that a lot this series. So I definitely think that ankle issue played a factor. But all in all, the Lakers got punked in the last 2 games of the series, and the Suns just gave it to him. The Devin Booker was absolutely sensational in the last 2 games of the series. I mean, he dropped 47 points. He started the first quarter, 22 points. I think he was 6 of 6 from beyond the 3-point line. That guy could not miss. I mean, he finished the game 8 of 10, and he shot 15 of 22 from the field. I mean, the Suns as a team behind the 3-point line, they were 51% compared to the Lakers. Like, I think they were in the 30s. It's just, you're not going to be able to combat against that. All in all, the season for the Lakers is a disappointing one. I think this series really turned on its head once AD went out with that groin injury. And look, the Suns smelled blood in the water when AD went out. Obviously, LeBron was affected with his ankle, and the Suns took advantage of it. So give credit where credit is due. The Suns were the better team, and they proved that. And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the second round of the playoffs.
I mean, honestly, you kind of took all the words out of my thought process here. I mean, I'm just sitting here looking at this box score, and I'm just, like we do every episode, I know that the numbers don't mean everything, but when you have donuts going around and like single-digit points for the majority of your backups, that doesn't really help your superstars when they need the support that LeBron legitimately needed with AD out. I mean, Marc Gasol had 18 minutes with 0 points. You had freaking Kyle Kuzma with 18 minutes and 2 points. Wesley Matthews with 12 points, being the leading bench scorer other than Taylor Horton-Tucker. But Alex Caruso, 2 points. You're sitting here looking at Montrezl Harrell, 2 points. Markieff Morris, 16 minutes, 2 points. So what can you really say other than the fact of these players just did not step up? Granted, when the season started and all of these players were acquired or re-signed, everybody said that the Lakers were for sure winning a championship. Oh, screw Brooklyn. It doesn't make a difference. The Lakers match up well. But now everyone's bringing the narrative. Bron didn't have no help. This Laker team is better than any Cleveland team he's ever been on in terms of on paper. And you're going to sit here and tell me that this team was full of scrubs. The Lakers re-signed Markieff Morris. The Lakers re-signed Kyle Kuzma to a very stupidly long deal, by the way. The Lakers acquired Andre Drummond, who got a DMP in Game 6, meaning he did not play. The Lakers re-signed Alex Caruso, and they signed Wesley Matthews. All of these things they did to themselves. These are the players they were excited to have on the roster. These are the people that they went out and recruited in replacement for the Dwight Howard and the JaVale McGee's and the Rajon Rondos. They had accepted they were going to lose pieces, but they also brought in key pieces they felt that their team needed. So I don't want to hear any excuse from any Bron fan that this team sucked or that this team was useless. Did they not make shots? 100%. Any team in the NBA can have shots like this or nights like this. Shit, Brooklyn has it sometimes too. It's usually the three superstars that go crazy, but that doesn't mean that Joe Harris doesn't have a bad night or that Blake Griffin doesn't have a bad night or any of the other bench players that they sought out for in the offseason or during the regular season. So I don't want to hear the fact that the Lakers suck or that the Lakers weren't going to win with this roster because it didn't stop them all season when they were going crazy and everybody said, yo, Caruso's got lockdown defense. Montrezl Harrell's the reigning sixth man of the year. Kyle Kuzma got a fresh contract. He's lit. He's fine. We got Marc Gasol. He's going to be a great backup. He's going to be a great starting five with AD if they go big. I refuse to accept that excuse. What I will accept is that they had a bad series and that the majority of the people, aka the people that I just named, more than likely would not be on this team next year, starting with Andre Drummond and Kyle Kuzma. Andre signed for the remainder of the year. I truly believe he will not be back next year. Kyle Kuzma was in trade discussions throughout the entire regular season up until the trade deadline. Nobody wanted him. I believe he'll get moved. We're sitting here looking at Markieff Morris. He signed a one-year deal. More than likely, he'll be gone. I don't think Caldwell Pope will be coming back this year. He was on another one-year deal. Again, Dennis Schroeder, don't think he'll be back. I'm pretty sure he's on the last year, if not last 2 years of his contract. Marc Gasol, 2-year deal. He'll probably get released because he played subpar this season. The majority, like I said, of this roster, Wesley Matthews, 1-year deal. He's probably not coming back. Alex Caruso, 1-year deal. He's getting looked at by other teams. They'll probably watch him walk. So then you look at next season, and you're sitting there like, well, LeBron will be 37 as that season progresses. AD is coming off of an injury-ridden season. What is LeBron James going to do? Are you going to reload and re-sign half the available free agents in the summertime again? Or are we going to just change this whole roster again? And then next season, oh, well, this is a new team. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. Phoenix was a better team, led by Devin Booker's 47, Jay Crowder, 18, Mikal Bridges, 10, and so on and so forth. The only other person off the bench that played significant minutes that had double digits, Cam Johnson. Cameron Payne had the worst game of this series with only 7 points, but they didn't really need to do much other than Devin Booker's performance. Again, like Kyle said, the better team won. They deserve to move forward. Anthony Davis's injury significantly affected the Lakers, obviously. So I'm not saying the Lakers aren't a better team. AD in this lineup makes them a lot more potent and a lot more threatening to any team in the NBA, but that's just not the case. They smelled blood in the water. They dominated where they needed to dominate.